Society of Scabbard and Blade, was the Vice President of the National Honor Society of Leadership and Success, and was named the 2016 Outstanding Exercise and Sports Science Undergraduate Student. He graduated in December 2016 with a degree in kinesiology and branched as an active duty armor officer. After completing Armor Bullock, the Army Recon Course, and Striker Leaders Course at Fort Benning, Georgia, he was assigned to the 2nd Squadron, 1st Cavalry Regiment, 1st Striker Brigade Combat Team, 4th Infantry Division at Fort Carson, Colorado. Upon arrival to the 2nd Squadron, 1st Cavalry Regiment in November 2017, he was assigned as a mortar platoon leader, and a month later went to the National Training Center in Fort Irwin, California. Lieutenant Irmer deployed to Afghanistan in April 2018. Upon completion of his mortar platoon time, he was assigned as the plans officer for the Commanding General of Southeast Afghanistan. He returned to Fort Carson in January 2019 and is currently serving as a scout platoon leader.
Well, thank you, Cadet Clarkson, for the introduction. What my bio really means is I've gotten pretty good at making a con-op. Lieutenant Colonel Petro, Master Sergeant Clark, cadre, cadets, guests, and especially those in the class of 2019, it is quite an honor to be here tonight. It feels like yesterday that I was in MS4 sitting in your seat, just waiting to graduate commission. However, looking back at all the dining outs I went to as a cadet, I have no idea what the guest speaker talked about. So with that in mind, if I can't make the speech memorable, I'll do my best to make it short. A few weeks ago, I started to think about what I was going to talk about tonight. I actually asked all my NCOs, and pretty much across the board, they said, "Sir, tell them to listen to us." However, that can't be my entire speech, so I look back at the day I commissioned as a second lieutenant, and one thing really stood out to me, that I honestly thought I didn't know a lot. I didn't know how to fire a 120mm Sabo round from the turret of a tank. I didn't know how to be an investigative officer, an arms room officer, or a plans officer. And I sure as hell did not know what to say when I opened the conference room door in Afghanistan and hit the commanding general in the back for a meeting that I was late to. Our OTC never taught me any of these things, but looking back, I realized that it really did teach me how to lead. You're in these seats for one reason, to become a leader. And leaders have to do one thing, lead. From my time as a platoon leader and being in Afghanistan, I can tell you one thing, that being a platoon leader can be pretty easy, but being a good leader, however, is incredibly challenging. And if you don't believe me, the second day I was a mortar platoon leader, my soldiers jumped me when I was alone in my office and duct taped me like a burrito. You'll have time in bowling to learn how to be a great platoon leader, but use the time and resources in ROTC to become a leader. So, what do I wish I knew about leadership when I was sitting in your chair? When I was at CLC as a cadet, we were going through our final day in the field, and I was selected to be the platoon leader. I was getting more angry by the minute because the cadre running the lane kept throwing artillery simulators and calling in direct fire on us. That's all we did for the majority of the day because we couldn't react properly. You weren't yelling loud enough, not running fast enough, you weren't spread out enough. The entire day seemed like a waste because instead of getting to do a key leader engagement, we were reacting to indirect fire for hours. On my third day at Falbdalki, Afghanistan, I was FaceTiming one of my old classmates, telling him how deployment had been so far the first 3 days. At 7:23 p.m., an alarm started to blare overhead. 4 seconds later, 3 107mm rockets flew over our tent. As soon as the rockets impacted, you know exactly what my platoon did, because it's the same thing you do in your sticks lanes, and it's the same thing I did hundreds of times at Fort Knox. My first engagement with the Taliban was reacting to indirect fire. We took over 125 rocket attacks that summer, and I wish someone told me that the battle drill I hated the most as a cadet would save my life and the lives of my soldiers. Striker Leaders course in Fort Benning, Georgia is typically the last stop for all armor and infantry lieutenants going to a Striker Brigade combat team. The 3-week course was known for 2 things. First, being able to copy each other's homework, and 2, long, torturous runs. It was the final week of the course, and the staff sergeant who led PTs was running our small lieutenant hearts out. At the end of the run, while a few lieutenants started to throw up, our staff sergeant started yelling at us, elaborating very clearly that all of us lieutenants are exactly the same on paper. Graduates of college, graduates of bowling. The 2 things that separate us, however, are if we have a Ranger tab and our PT score. And if we didn't have a Ranger tab, we better make up with it with our PT score. Being second lieutenants, we took this advice with a grain of salt. Yet 2 weeks later, after all 60 lieutenants in my bullet class PCS'd their first unit, texts started flowing in to the old group chats, saying things like, my squadron commander just smoked the crap out of me, and it's not even the first day. And on the second day of my unit, my commander took us on a 6-mile run. It was true that on paper, all the lieutenants looked exactly the same. In order to measure our overall capability and potential to be a platoon leader, to measure how serious we were about the organization we just entered, commanders would run us. Usually the lieutenant who could run harder would get the first available platoon. I wish someone told me that when I assess as an MS3, my PT score should be high as possible, but when I commission, it needs to be a 300. That being said, physical fitness is more than just how you look on paper. If you're ever lucky enough to be part of a cavalry squadron, you will be voluntold to participate in a spur ride. A spur ride is a 36-hour suckfest, a grueling event that tests your mental fortitude, physical stamina, skill sets, and strength. Over the course of those 36 hours, your squad will go through call for fire stations, weapon assembly, disassembly, stick slings, live fire ranges, and end up rucking over 35 miles on 45 minutes of sleep. There's a lot of pressure for cavalry leaders to complete the spur ride, and some have been known to be fired from their positions if they can't make it through. My squad had 6 soldiers, another lieutenant, and me. And collectively, one of our tasks was to carry a 240 machine gun without a sling the entire time. When the lane runners told us this and asked who was carrying it first, all the soldiers looked at the officers. I said I would, and we started. It was 3 a.m. the next day, 24 hours in. We were tired, irritable, hangry, and the other lieutenant still has not taken a turn carrying the machine gun. Our next task was to ruck up a huge hill and set an observation post. On the way up the hill, the same lieutenant started to empty all the rounds out of his magazine to lighten his load. As you may know, this is called chucking rounds, and chucking rounds has a very distinct sound. Everyone in our entire squad heard him doing this. So we got up to the top of the hill, and the soldier who carried the machine gun asked for someone else to take it. We all stood in silence, waiting for the other lieutenant to volunteer. He stayed silent. So while crying on the inside, I said I would take it. As the soldier mustered the strength to get the machine gun on my shoulders, he quite loudly muttered, "At least one lieutenant knows how to lead." That line stuck to me. It was apparent that the other lieutenant was in pain, and carrying the machine gun would jeopardize his ability to finish. However, he was putting his will to finish before the soldiers. This lieutenant passed the spur ride and was awarded his spurs despite not carrying the machine gun at all and chucking the rounds, so he had to carry a lighter load. Pleasing your superiors is never worth your reputation with your soldiers. And when soldiers in our squad were struggling, he did not have enough physical strength to help them succeed. You don't need to be the best at everything, but you for sure should not be the worst. Even if the lieutenant carried the weapon for 10 minutes, that's 10 minutes one of the soldiers wouldn't have to. I wish someone told me that you're going to have to carry not just your weight, but some of the weight of your soldiers to accomplish the mission. In Afghanistan, one of our biggest threats were insider attacks. It's one thing to be in an engagement and be able to maneuver on an enemy. It's another to have an angry Afghan behind your back. I had an interpreter that I really liked. We called him Mo. But with soldiers being killed from insider attacks all summer, it took me a little while to trust him. I eventually got along with Mo a lot, and he was really funny. His Middle East accent made everything he said just a tiny bit funnier for some reason. One day we were sitting there, and I asked where he was from in Afghanistan. He looked at me and said, "Sir, I'm from Pennsylvania." I wish someone told me that as a lieutenant you're going to feel stupid pretty often. And the lieutenants that just embrace it go the farthest. Command Sergeant Major Boyard was a senior enlisted advisor at FOB Dalkey. Every morning we were on the FOB, we had a commander's update brief at 8:30. And like the old college student in me, I still remember waking up at the tent and calculating how fast I would have to eat breakfast and shave to make it in time for the meeting. I sat 2 seats away from him every day, and we would go around the table updating the commander. He would always end with his piece. And without fail, he always had ideas to increase the safety and the morale of soldiers. Every time I saw him, he always had a big grin on his face and said, "Hey, Lieutenant, you doing all right today?" Like the outstanding NCO that he was, one day he even got mad at me because I was a second lieutenant not wearing any eye protection. On September 3rd, 2018, Command Sergeant Major Boyard was killed in action by small arms fire. I wish someone told me I'd better take ROTC more seriously, because you are going to war. Lives are still being lost, and even on days like September 3rd, when you want to take a break, you better be able to keep going. That week I did a lot of thinking, and for some reason, I thought about the oath of office that we take when we commission. One line really stands out to me and got me through that week.